Provincial Grand Chapter of Staffordshire. Ask the Grand Superintendent. This animated podcast invites you to address questions to the head of Royal Arch Freemasonry in Staffordshire, Grand Superintendent Robin Stubbs. Hello, Grand Superintendent, and welcome back this month.
Good morning again, Jeremy.
OK, let's make a start. You've previously mentioned joining the Royal Arch when the time was right. When was the time right for you?
Well, I'm very happy to relate to my own experiences. I was exalted into the Royal Arch 5 years after my initiation into the craft. This was the year before I was installed as Worshipful Master in my Staffordshire Lodge, an event which was closely followed by my installation as Worshipful Master in my mother lodge in Middlesex. So, although I was soon to be juggling 2 craft chairs at the same time, I was able to sit back in my new chapter, enjoy the companionship of those around me, as well as being able, in the background, to witness the colourful and enlightening ceremony that I'd so recently undertaken myself. So whenever the time is right for you, I can assure you of a very warm welcome into the Royal Arch.
The second question we've had in asks, I'm not a subscribing member of a lodge at the moment. Can I still join the Royal Arch?
I'm afraid not. Membership of the Royal Arch is inextricably linked to subscribing membership of the craft. If you resigned from your craft lodge before December 2016, then it may be possible in some special cases.
Question 3, you're being asked, what is Royal Arch Freemasonry?
Well, Freemasonry itself is a means of enhancing our social, moral and lawful duties and our faith in a supreme being. The Royal Arch, which has existed, developed and flourished for over 250 years, is a vital part of Freemasonry and declared to be so in the Book of Constitutions. It follows the craft degrees, exploring the spiritual aspect of man's nature. Many believe it to be essential in order to truly understand the purpose and meaning of the craft teachings. It is considered to be the final chapter of a 4-part enactment, initiation to exaltation.
Question 4 is a very interesting question. If the Royal Arch has considered the completion of craft masonry, why does it not take place in a craft lodge?
Very good question. It used to be. Before 1813 there were 2 grand lodges, the Ancients and the Moderns, and they differed in significant respects. The Ancients viewed the Royal Arch as a 4th degree of craft Freemasonry and worked it as part of the craft ceremonies, while the Moderns held the opinion that craft Freemasonry consisted of 3 degrees alone and that the Royal Arch was at most an extension of the 3rd degree, which was to be administered separately. It wasn't until the union of the 2 Grand Lodges in 1813 that a compromise was reached, and the Royal Arch was declared to be an official and universally accepted part of pure ancient masonry to be delivered in chapters. Following further iterations, today it is considered to be the completion of pure ancient masonry.
This month's question 5 reads, is the layout of a chapter room similar to that of a lodge?
No. The layout of the chapter room is completely different to what you know from your lodge. Its fundamental differences are first highlighted by the fact that there are 3 chapter principals who rule jointly and who sit together, quite unlike the Master and his wardens in lodge. In addition, use is made of the central area of the room, which is furnished with additional items in order to facilitate and explain the Royal Arch exaltation ceremony.
And the last question of this month, Grand Superintendent, reads, can I wear my past master's jewel in a chapter?
Whilst the Royal Arch breast jewel should also be worn in the craft, which again is a visible reminder of our unique relationship, there is no allowance for any craft jewel to be worn in the Royal Arch. In the craft, the Royal Arch jewel takes precedence over all other Masonic jewels and is worn on the left breast nearest to the centre of the body.
Well, that wraps it up again for this month. Thank you, Grand Superintendent, for coming to visit us, and we look forward to seeing you again next month. And if you have any questions that you would like the Grand Superintendent to answer, please email them to the Communications Officer, details on screen. Staffordshire Royal Arch Masonry, simply completing your Masonic knowledge.